time to take a look at the films that I've been watching over the past couple of weeks. I have 10 movies here that I want to talk about and share with you my thoughts on them. So let's get into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And yes, what have I been watching since my last episode of What Have I Been Watching? Films from the shelves. I've been delving into the shelves more and we're going to take a look. So let's just dive straight in, shall we? So that first film that I decided to watch was Assault on Precinct 13. Assault on Precinct 13, the remake version starring Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, I fancied revisiting this film. I've not watched this film in some considerable time. I am a huge fan of the very first one. I think it's one of John Carpenter's best movies. I just love it. So, and I thought, let's visit the remake and see what I make of this. Because, can it live up to that first one? So anyway, I've not visited this film probably since long after it came out. That long ago, seriously. I enjoyed it. However, it is far more of an action movie than that original film. You got good turns in it by Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne. Obviously, it's about a precinct that's about to shut. It's New Year's Eve. There's no one about. This precinct is closing up for business. It's not an operating police precinct. There's a skeleton crew in there just finishing up, closing it down essentially. And you got Lawrence Fishburne, who's the bad guy, who's wanted by these individuals, a group of individuals, and he's being transported via a prison bus with other prisoners, and they have to make a stop at this precinct because of the storm outside, and they go in for refuge essentially, and the police precinct gets assaulted by individuals outside. Only the individuals outside are corrupt police officers. They're not actually criminals per se in that sense. They are, but they're not. They're corrupt police officers. And yeah, all hell breaks loose. I do see certain beats in it, obviously, that are there in the original, by which I mean, you've got the girl in it who's the blonde girl who's the psychiatrist person who shockingly gets killed. That's kind of a sort of turn of events that you get in the first one with the young girl with the ice cream van. A character that you wouldn't expect to die gets killed with a shot in the head, and this is what happens here. It's kind of been taken from there, turned into this bit here, because you'd have expected this character to live through the piece and be the love interest for Ethan Hawke's character. Yeah, it's a decent film. Obviously after watching that one, I did watch the original. Now, I made a conscious effort of watching this one first before this one. I had the idea of watching them both back to back, but I knew that if I'd watched this one first, chances of me wanting to visit this one would have fallen dramatically, because I love this film. I think it's a great film. Soundtrack is great in it. Performances are great. The thing about this film, more so than the original is more of an action, just a straight action film. This film here's got, it's more of a thriller. It's more of there's a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Paranormal sense to it. I know there isn't, because it's a group of individuals storming the police station again. It's the same kind of setup, but what it is here is this young girl is killed, and the ice cream man is killed, police station shutting down again, and this group of criminals that has done this, one of them gets killed by the father of the little girl. He runs to the police station, runs inside, and swarms of gang members come and storm the police station because they want to kill him for the killing of their gang member. But when I say there's a paranormal feel to it, there's an otherworldly eeriness to this sort of film. It's in the sense that these gang members at this time, this era in the late 70s, would never have been together. They you know, you've got like Mexican, black, white. Do you know what I mean? You've got all these different types of gangs. They're all in one, and for that reason, it gives this almost a paranormal kind of vibe to it, because it's unreal. It's otherworldly. It just wouldn't have occurred. But it's a great film. It really is. You know. Yeah, I mean, I far prefer this to the remake. I thought the remake was good, don't get me wrong, but this one is far superior movie from John Carpenter that's often forgotten, you know. That, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Next up, we have 21 Jump Street that I just pulled off. I don't know. I had a yearning to watch this film again, and, you know, I think these are very funny. You know, Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, both on point in this. Obviously, it's a remake of the TV series. TV series I've never seen, I'll be honest. 21 Jump Street, I've never, ever watched. It's very self-aware. I wasn't aware the first time I watched it of how actually self-aware it is. It mocks Hollywood. It mocks the sort of TV remake film thing that sort of went on at around this sort of era. It does that sort of stuff. Ice Cube is in it. He's funny, you know, swearing the place down. Obviously, they have to go back to school. When they were in school together. Jonah Hill's kind of bullied by Channing Tatum and other lads. They both find themselves in the police together, training school, police academy. They come up together. They sort of form a friendship. They get taken into 21 Jump Street, and they have to go back to school, back to college, as adults, police undercover. And there's kind of a role reversal when they get back there, because their identities get swapped by mistake, and he has to become the sort of nerdy one. He has to be the cool one. Yeah, it's very funny film. I'm going to say I have a lot of fun with it. Then obviously I'm going to watch 22 Jump Street and follow it up with this one. Again, very funny, it does the same thing again, obviously, pretty much. It goes through the same motions as that first one. But again, very funny, you know, again, very self-aware. You know, the new police precinct that they go into, 22 Jump Street, across the road from 21 Jump Street. And Ice Cube's got this office that's a big glass square in the middle, and they sort of say it looks almost like a cube of ice. There's sort of the bit where Jonah Hill's dating Ice Cube's daughter, and, you know, when they're both in the police station together, and he puts the photo on the table, and when they're at dinner. Yeah, it's very funny. Some very funny stuff in it. And obviously the end of the film's great when you see 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 Jump Street, the sort of little mock trailers for them. Yeah, again, very funny film. But, you know, I've watched another 7 films after this, and they both sort of roll into one, though. I'm not that familiar with them that I can really separate too much between them. But there we go. Next up was a new pickup for me, and obviously I'm going to watch it. And it is Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. Now, Russell Crowe, lovely steelbook this has been given. And the 4K transfer is phenomenal. It looks great. It really does. Now, what can I say about this film? Yeah, it's my type of movie, in the sense that, you know, I like sort of Napoleonic era type of stuff. You know, you've got, this here is about this ship captained by Russell Crowe, and they're in the sort of they're down south way, you know, the other side of the equator, and the French are there. They got a big vessel there, and they've got to try and find this vessel and stop it, because the French can turn the tide of the war over there in that area and become the dominant force, even with one massive ship like what they've got. Paul Bettany's in it. Paul Bettany gives a good performance as the ship's doctor and best friend to Russell Crowe's character. I haven't seen this film for some considerable time. I know I enjoyed it back when it came out. I had it on Blu-ray. I probably haven't watched it in maybe 15 years, so I really enjoyed my rewatch, and I really enjoyed the soundtrack, the score to it, because the two characters, they play stringed instruments together, and there's a lot of that within the music of the film. Obviously, the ship looks great, the effects look great, the battles look fantastic, and it's just a shame that more wasn't done. They didn't do a sequel and, you know, carry the stories on and give us more of them, but you know, you can't have it all, can you? The film sort of ends on a sort of, it's not ended, so to speak. That story has ended, but there's a continuation that could have led into the second film. So the next film I watched was Poltergeist. Okay, so this is getting a release. I'm not sure if it's out. It might be out by the time this airs, on 22nd, I think. Is that the release date for it? From Vice Press, 4K, big, you know, film. What are they called? Film Vault release. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Film Vault release big ones sat behind me, and I had this on pre-order. This and Shining on pre-order, and I wanted to watch this before that came out because I wanted to make a decision on whether to get it or whether not to get it, go through with getting it, because I haven't seen Poltergeist probably since I was a young lad. So I had it on pre-order, the big one, then obviously you got the individual steelbook one as well. So what did I think of Poltergeist? All I can say is that I cancelled my pre-order for it. The film hasn't aged very well at all. While there's certain elements of the film I do like, you know, it's written by, produced by Steven Spielberg and directed by Tobe Hooper, and there's a very Spielbergian feel about the film, with the exception of in the directing, because Tobe Hooper isn't as an established director or a good director as what Steven Spielberg is, and that does show in the film itself. Like I said, the film is very dated. Some of the special effects are very dated. The tree coming in and grabbing the boy and then eating the boy outside is kind of laughable. You know, the one character that I thought, you know, because like I said, I hadn't seen it in a long time. My wife said to me, our character's going to get introduced in a little time. She's going to wind you up something rotten. And that's the tiny little woman that comes in. And I actually didn't mind that character. What annoyed me more was the mother and her reaction to things going on, and her seemingly not being overly sad about her daughter having gone missing and this sort of a thing. So while, yeah, I can appreciate the film for when it came out and what it did, it's aged badly, and to be honest, I don't think it's a film that I am going to watch again, and is leaving the collection. There we go. And obviously I'm not getting the Film Vault either edition of it. And I've also made a decision on The Shining as well. Even though I love The Shining, I think it's a fantastic film, I do have an Amaray 4K version around the corner in my 4K section. I do not need to go spending either 50 quid or 30 quid for a steelbook and all the tap, because honestly speaking, the 5 Film Vaults I've got behind me, which are for Apollo 13, Shawshank, 1917 and Blade Runner, I've not taken off the shelf and opened and looked at since purchase. That says it all, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Stop wasting your money on this stuff like that if you don't really need it. I don't need it. That's not to say down the line I might not get another one. There might be another one that does tempt me and that I do want, but I've only got 5 of the 8 that were released already, so I'll only have 5 of the 10 that have been released, only 50% of them. I don't have to buy everything from a line of releases. Yeah, again, a silly way of in my mind, a silly way of collecting. So next up was a Luc Besson film that I haven't seen in a long time either. I pulled off the shelf because I wanted to watch it, and it is Joan of Arc, or as it was called, Messenger or something, The Messenger, Joan of Arc. So it's the story of Joan of Arc. It's quite a long film. It's nearly 2.5 hours, to be honest. It's quite a long one. Obviously Mila Jovovich is in it. John Malkovich is big in it. Faye Dunaway is in it. Dustin Hoffman towards the end of the film. And what more can I say? It's set in France in, like, I think 1400s, is it? When France is a 100-year war with the UK, with England. And this young girl, she kind of thinks she's being spoken to by God, whether she was or not, who knows. And she ends up leading the army for the king against the English, having some defeats of them. But when money starts running tight, they kind of want rid of her, and they kind of screw her over, so to speak, and double cross her and allow her to, they basically hand her over to the British, where obviously at the end she gets burnt. Good performance by Milla Jovovich, a bit kind of unhinged, on edge, nervy kind of performance she gives in it. Very, yeah, it's, you know, I enjoyed the film. You know, again, this is the sort of film I can sit down and watch and enjoy. Not one that I put on overly too often, but certainly one that I would revisit again somewhere down the line. Is, you know, yeah, it's an interesting story. It's a powerful story. You know, she was burned for being a witch, essentially, by us. But there we go. And obviously led this army at a time when women didn't fight in things like that. So next up was another new pickup that I thought I would watch, and it is Shutter Island. Lovely edition released this, not a steelbook, just an Amaray, 35 quid. I think that price point is fine for a collector's edition like this. That'd probably have been 45, 50 quid now if it was a steelbook in there. Crazy. Especially when you do the math and you consider, well, if you can, Warner Brothers, if you can release a steelbook of The Mask Blu-ray for £18 and a standard Blu-ray is £15, you're just charging £3 extra, being that it's in a steelbook. Why would you justify a jump of £10 to £15 for one of these because it has got a steelbook in it? Do you see my logic there? Do you see how the math doesn't really add up on these sort of things? Not to mention that when Warner Brothers would release steelbooks of DC animated things, they were about $12.99. The price increase on this sort of stuff because of the steelbook is horrendous. It's huge, and it obviously doesn't need to be when you consider the price of other releases. But anyway, so Shutter Island, Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, the fella from the Hulk. The other day I couldn't get his name, and then I remembered his name. You know, the geezer plays the Hulk. Anyway, I'm not doing this again. Anyway, so Shutter Island, set in, is it about 1940s, is it? Around that time after the war. And Leo's a kind of FBI agent. They go in to investigate the disappearance of this girl, this woman that's disappeared from her cell. Goes in with a new partner played by Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk. So it came to me then. And yeah, but obviously there's more to the story than that, because well, you know the film if you've seen it. You know the twists, the turns that it takes. So Leonardo DiCaprio I really like as an actor. I think that he's got a fantastic agent. He kind of always picks decent films, and even if the film doesn't work for you, Leonardo DiCaprio gives a good performance within said films. He does give good performances. I like what he does. It's a solid film. It's a good film. It looks good on 4K here. The sound is fantastic. Now I'm only going for a sound bar, right? But I actually had to silence the film because there's these really low tones of these underlying noises and beats, drum beats almost. It sounded like a neighbour had a TV or music playing, that I could hear the thud of what they had going. I had to like pause it. Is that from this or is that from that? You know, that's how, you know, the sound in it is quite immersive in this. I don't have a surround sound system. I'm not a sound person. I don't like loud. That might be my age now, getting old. But yeah, it's a great film, and yeah, I really like that collector's edition. I didn't mention, but I really like Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack to this film. I thought it was great, probably the best thing about it. So anyway, so that's that. Shutter Island. Next up, only two more. Rewatch, new pickup, and it is Red Sonja, the new Red Sonja film. It's a cheap film. It's not overly expensive at all. You know, it's one of those sort of Marmite films. You're either going to like it or you're going to totally hate it. I fall on the side of actually liking it. Now, Red Sonja as a property, I've got the first Red Sonja film. This is better than that. What it does is better than that film, the Bridget Nielsen one. Comic books of Red Sonja I've read for years, so inevitably I was going to land onto this film, and I don't mind it at all. Some of the effects in it are they're funny. The CGI is funny in it because it's not good. It's merely okay for a cheap film, but there's a very, I don't know if they purposely went for this Ray Harryhausen feel with it, because it almost feels like when you've got these creatures at the beginning that you see, these sort of free hoggy type, these mythical creatures, and then when you see the Cyclops in it, there's movements to them that are almost stop motion-esque in what they do. So I don't know whether it kind of worked like that. Now, one thing I will say is, you know, after originally watching this, I watched Kull the Conqueror, not to be mistaken with Kull with Kevin Sorbo. And that film was, the way it was made was far different to how this was made here. It's black and night and day, sorry, in how black and white, night and day in how it's made. Completely different. The filmmaking back then feels far more visceral, tangible than the filmmaking today with this. But I don't have a problem with this. I didn't have a problem with her in the role of Red Sonja. There's elements of the story I kind of have to sort of skip over. The sort of logic of her going into this arena. She's only been there for a few days, and she's already befriended everyone there enough for them to back her with stuff, and you know, for this other character to give up, well, essentially be fine giving up her life for her, almost. That sort of stuff. It's almost like the film wants to do far more. It overstretches itself and for the budget that it has. But, you know, I appreciate the film. I appreciate what it tried to do. And I appreciate what it gave us. And you know, even on my second watch, I was a bit, you know, I was questioning whether I'd enjoy it or not. I did actually put it on before this watch here, a rewatch, and I turned it off. I guess I wasn't in the mood, but I sat down yesterday as filming this and put it on, watched it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What can I say? New Red Sonja. I do have a steelbook for it, which I had done myself with steelbook stickers. I've got to transfer it into it. I just wanted it in that to show it now. And then the last watch, which I watched last night, and that was Togo. Disney Plus film from 2020, maybe 2019. It's when Disney Plus first came about. This was one of the very first films that they put on. Obviously, it stars Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe. Now, first of all, this is a bootleg. This film isn't available anywhere. This film, you can't even watch it now on Disney Plus. I only found this out yesterday as I'm filming, that this has been removed from Disney Plus. Now, this is a film that on Rotten Tomatoes, its audience score and its thingy score, critic score, is up in the mid-90s. It's a very highly rated movie, and it has been removed. It's based upon a true story set in the early 1900s, where there's this, like in Norway or wherever it is, somewhere like that. I don't know exactly where it's set, but that's sort of a place. And there's this small town, and the kids fall very ill, and they need medicine. Only the medicine is about 600 miles away, and this the storm of the centuries coming in, and Willem Dafoe is kind of tasked with other individuals to get this medicine from there to here. It's the only way they can do it, with dogs and sleds, and they kind of set up a sort of relay race, essentially, where it's transported so far past the next person, past the next person, past the next person, past the next person. The story kind of flashes between these events and earlier events of him with the dog, the husky dog, Togo, and him having it as a puppy and it growing up and him trying to get rid of it. You don't want it until he learns that it's not a sled dog, it's a lead dog, and he goes on this journey with the dog in this storm and other dogs. This is the lead dog, and they end up doing about 260 miles round trip, whereas other people did only about 31 miles, 33 miles each. They done that amount. The dog at this point would have been 12 years old, you know, and he has to face these children dying or trying to run, you know, essentially run this dog to death, essentially. It's quite a touching story. It's quite an amazing story, really. You know, the film looks great. It does. The ice, when it's all cracking up and this sort of thing, it looks great. Seriously, it is such a shame that this film is unavailable to even watch and stream. I'm not saying that it won't ever come back. It may well do, but this is the future that we're facing without physical media, you know, and it's, you know, if anything, it says, yes, this is the reason to bootleg some of these films, because you're not going to be seeing them otherwise, seriously speaking. And I thoroughly enjoyed my watch of it. You know, interestingly, the actual dog in it that played Togo is is from the bloodline of the original Togo dog, because it lived for another 2 years after the events of the film. The dog did, and it sired a load of pups, and people from everywhere wanted these pups because of, you know, how intelligent and strong this dog was, and its bloodline is still going today, essentially. Yeah, good performance by Willem Dafoe and others in it. Seriously, this is, you know, if this film was to be given a release tomorrow, I would buy it. If it was a 4K tomorrow, I'd buy it. If it was a 4K steelbook tomorrow, I would buy it. If it was a 4K collector's edition, it cost me 50 quid, I would buy it. Okay, because this is just a fantastic movie, and I would urge you to go and see it. Only I can't, because it's gone, vanished from Disney Plus. It was one of the ones that were taken down, and probably because it's had its, you know, it probably ain't drawing much of an audience now. It's been on there for 5 years. What are you going to do? Tax write-off, isn't it, for them? Pull it off. But that's what we're facing. That's what we're facing. That is such a sad state of affairs, you know, because I was talking to Chris Cypher Sigma yesterday, and I was saying to him, as you know, watching this film, we play a little game in like a text chat where we will send one another, and Matt as well, images, like just screen grab with our phone of a film that we're watching. It's like, guess the film, and you know, and this came up, and you know, Chris, who's a big fan of dog films, hasn't seen this film, and you know, oh, it's on Disney Plus. Go, you know, it's got to still be on there. It's got to still be on there. You know, it's raved about by those who actually saw it, and lo and behold, it wasn't. And I searched where can it be watched, and nowhere, except for the world of pirates. Yeah. But there we go, folks. That's everything I've been watching beyond the other stuff that's, you know, Alien War. I keep saying Alien War, Alien Earth, you know, Star Trek. I'm 2 episodes behind on that. It's not a very good season. Anyway, but that's it. That's me done for another one. 11 films there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 films there, not 11. Let me know what you've been watching. What have you been watching over the past couple of weeks? Any recommendations for me? I have got Stand By Me. I've never watched Stand By Me. you know, the film, and I've got that ready to go as, you know, as a watch, because will it work for me or won't it? One of those things we've got to find out in time. But there we go. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you all later.